Kristen, why do you think there is so much emphasis on like pushing the boundaries
Mhm.
right now with gender norms and with our culture? Like, who's the winner when we push
Mhm.
these boundaries? Like, what is going on here? Why is this
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah. I think it goes back to a deeper heart issue, a deeper issue of we want to define ourselves. We are
Mm,
ultimately rejecting God and saying, we know better. We know who we are. Thank you, but no thanks. I will define myself. I will decide who I'm going to be. And that might be one thing today. It might be something different a year from now. It might be something different 10 years from now, but
mm,
that's my choice. I am completely autonomous. I am not accountable to anyone. I will not answer to anyone except myself. And what I say is my greatest truth. And
mm,
so I think ultimately it comes down to a heart that is rejecting God.
mm,
That's rejecting God's design. That's rejecting God's authority. That's rejecting God's sovereignty over this world, over creation, and rather us breaking away from Him and saying, we know better and we're going to do things our way.
mm,
And it looks like freedom, right? And I think so many young people buy into this because they say, oh, wow, yeah, I feel these things. I think I'm something different. And it just feels in the moment a lot easier to define ourselves and go with the flow. But as we step back and we survey the landscape of sexuality, what we see is not functionality. What we see is not peace and contentment and people thriving. We see so much brokenness. We
mm.
see so much confusion. We see so much dysfunction. We see people searching and never finding what they're ultimately looking for because they're trying to find an identity outside of their creator. And so that is my biggest message to young people is take a step back, look around. It looks great for a minute. There's a facade, but as you dig deeper and you look behind the stories of so many of these, even celebrities, famous people who are coming out and saying, this is the way, we're not seeing something that's beautiful and functional and thriving ultimately in the end. You just look at so many statistics for just depression and suicide and anxiety. These things are through the roof. They are skyrocketing. And we have to put two and two together and say, how can we claim that we have all the answers over here? And yet we look at the numbers and people are declining in happiness, declining in
Yeah.
contentment, facing more anxiety, depression, suicide than ever before. Something isn't adding up. And
Mm.
so as we step back and see that, we have to ask the question, what is wrong? What is not working? And ultimately it's that we need to turn back to our creator.
That's so good. I agree. Like it seems like the freeing
Mm-hmm.
decision, like I get to decide my identity, whether it's my gender or my sexuality. I get to decide who I am and how I want to live. But I remember in the episode with Kelly Needham when we were talking about male and female, like there's just this clarity.
Yeah.
Male and female, he created them. Male or female, he created you. Like you don't have to be the creator in the story. We
Right.
have a creation story and it's already been settled for you. You don't have to burden yourself with that. You
Mm.
can find freedom in allowing the creator of the story to be God. Like it just relieves that anxiety. And
Yeah.
I completely agree. Like the stats do not support
Mm-hmm.
any of like the transgender movement, the all of the different divergence that we
Mm-hmm.
are seeing have only just increased our anxiety and our depression. So but respond to the woman who is thinking like, I cannot believe my church doesn't affirm the
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQ plus community. Like, aren't we supposed
Right.
to love each other? This seems like
Mm-hmm.
we're condemning the most marginalized. Like, respond to that woman.
Yeah. I mean, to put it bluntly, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. So I would say to her, you are buying into a lie that says you can find fulfillment, you can find satisfaction, you can find your truest identity outside of your creator.
Mm,
And so, in order to truly be loving, the greatest love I can offer you is to tell you what your creator says about you, not what the world says about you, not what
mm,
you think about you, not what culture says, a man, a woman, LGBTQ, the whole spectrum. That the most loving thing I can tell you is what your creator, the God who made you, what he says about you. And a church that truly loves its people is a church that goes to the word and says, God, who do you say I am? Because we know we can only find ultimate freedom within our creator's design. So it's a hard one because she's buying into the lie that love is doing whatever you want. Love is being whoever you think you are, but that's not truly love. That's deception. That's lies from the enemy. That is a rejection of God ultimately. And so again, the most loving thing would be to take her to the word and say, Genesis 1-3. I love that you just did a whole series on that, because that is truly where the rubber meets the road. If we skip over Genesis 1-3, and then we try to ask, answer all of these questions, what is the man? What is the woman? My gender, who am I? And we skip over Genesis 1-3 and we dismiss it. Oh, that's just kind of Bible stuff, but let me look in the rest of scripture. Well, you're missing the most foundational piece about, like you said, our origin story, where we come from. So I would lovingly take that woman to Genesis 1 and 2, and I would show her God's design for man and woman, male and female. He created them in his image, 2 genders, no more, no less, God's intentional design. And then hopefully help her to see lovingly that God, by making her a woman, he has written her design within her biology. It's not a mystery. She doesn't have to search for it. She doesn't have to discover it. She just has to receive it. It's already been given to her by her creator, and she has to receive it as a gift and ask God for even strength to do that if that's hard, right? I know that can be a journey for some, just walking through discipleship of even receiving who God has created them to be, but then growing in that in scripture. What does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a woman who follows the Lord? So yeah, that's a tough one, but we need to lean into these kind of conversations for sure.